Hi, I'm Kitty Feldy. Last week, we discussed the book Jordan and Marshmallow by Alina Chau. Alina not only wrote the book, she also created all of the pictures of this graphic novel. So, Alina, where do you start, with the images or the words?
Before I get into writing, before I become an author, I tend to think more from image. But now when I start writing story, actually most of the time I start with words. And that also surprised me a lot because as being an author is a much newer experience than an artist. I was an artist for many, many years, and writing is something new to me. So for many years, I usually work for other people's script, work for other people's stories. So in that case, when I'm reading other people's story, the image would surface in my head and I would see the entire book, or when I was working animation, I see the whole films in my head. But when I start trying to develop my story, I tend to think about the story first because I can't really draw without a story. So most of the time, and I've been catching myself, is I do have a story first before images. And sometimes depends if certain story is more visual driven, then both have appeared at the same time, but words still appeared first. So I guess depends on whether I'm an author or I'm an illustrator. As an author, words tend to come first.
So when you're working on a story, has there ever been a time when you couldn't figure out what the image was that went with those words?
It's funny you mentioned that because when I try to write picture book, which I'm still working on writing a picture book, for some reason when I try to write picture book, image come harder. I don't know why. When I try to do middle grade graphic novel, image come easier. It's something still puzzling for me as well. I think partly is with middle grade, because all the writing are more dialogue, so it's more character driven. So when I'm writing those, I really have to have what the character look like in mind. Otherwise, it'll be difficult to write their dialogue and convey their personality and emotion. But with picture book is you have you have to write the description, what's the story about, and the character. And also depends on the nature of the writing. Some are a little bit more rhyme and poetic. So it's not just thinking about what the character look like. I have to think about the overall design of the book, the world, and everything. So in that sense, I catch myself if I don't know the story well enough. If the story is not clear and fully developed, I have a hard time drawing it because I don't really have the whole universe and everything organized well in my head.
So at this point in your career, which do you like the most, picture books or middle grade novels?
Well, I like both. They're both different challenge. To me, writing middle grade come a little bit more natural because I think a few things. I think for the longest time I worked in animation, and in animation everything is dialogue. It's like film script is dialogue and very character driven. So that format, which is very similar to a graphic novel, is very character driven, dialogue driven. So to me, writing for that format feel a little bit more natural to me. Also a little bit older reader, that is also the genre that I'm a little bit more familiar with throughout my career. I love illustrate for picture book and illustrate for other author as well because you just get to do story that is from a different experience. And when I'm illustrating for other author's story, I feel that I'm also learning about that experience, learning about story. And I tend to illustrate story that I know I wouldn't be able to write because it's different kind of life experience, different perspective. So it also helped me to gain inspiration and collaboration with other authors. That is a joy because it's not just listening to my own voice. You get to also get other inspiration and creative input from other perspective and other people. I am hoping to try to learn how to do picture book. I start writing a couple of picture book, and that's my goal this year. I want to finish a couple of picture book manuscript. And to me, writing picture book is challenging, which I'm still exploring, because it seems simple, but it's actually really hard. You have to pack a big story with a few words, and also story with meanings and layer and dimension, and simplify that into 30-something page and much less word count. That means whatever you put on the page has to be perfect and essential. You can't hide behind some decorative element, and everything on the paper has to be to the point. And I think that is one of the hardest things. It looks simple, but it's actually simple is the hardest to do.
Thanks, Alina. We have interviews with dozens of other writers at our website, bookclubforkids.org, on our Writers on Writing page. And don't forget, you can sign up for our newsletter with lots and lots of reading tips. Also, you can do that at the website. I'm Kitty Feldy. Thanks so much for listening.